Hey guys, Luna here, and welcome back to our life. Let's just get right into it, shall we? We're going to be doing the happiness moments. The day and the week were nearing the end, and you were welcoming it in your own way by lying sprawled out on your bed. It was quiet in your house, getting into that time of night where you really should be sleeping, but you didn't feel tired at all. You rolled on your side. Outside, the last lit-up window across the street blinked out, leaving the buildings on the block faceless silhouettes against a blue-black sky dotted by stars. Your phone came to life on the nightstand, a pale light cast on the ceiling of your room. Without looking, you threw your arm out behind yourself, groping around on the tabletop until your phone was under your palm. At that point, you lifted it up to your face, snorting once you saw the familiar name attached to the short message just reading, "Hey." Cove wasn't much for sleeping now either. As he made to reply, though, more and more texts came through in quick succession. "Hey, you like doing things. You like doing things with me. I mean, what I'm saying is that there are things you and I like do and we like together at the same time." Now, that was eyebrow raising. You propped yourself up on one elbow, sitting upright against the headboard so you could text more comfortably. Okay. So yeah, I figured out it's like texting my message. Sorry about that. Man, I'm excited to see where this is going. The typing indicator dropped off and a notable pause followed. You snickered into the palm of your hands. It wasn't hard to imagine Cove red-faced and hunched over in his phone in the dark, eyebrows forward as he tried to think of how to respond to your comment, but ultimately he didn't even attempt to address it. What I'm saying, you're free for a while, right? Got nothing big planned for the next few days, but that could change. Cool, thought so. I was just making sure, alright? You can almost hear Cove's intake of breath as he prepared for the next part, despite the conversation being text alone. The window of your messaging app might as well have been a screenshot. You were left to keep track of the passing seconds with the rising and falling cries of the crickets outside. When your screen darkened from inactivity, you wondered if you should do something yourself. Yeah, sure, might as well. You thought you can give him a nudge. You're struggling with what to write, huh? Is that supposed to be a face? Mindful of everyone else asleep in the house, all you could do was stifle your laughter. Keep going. I'm trying. I'm trying. The next message came almost instantly. What if we did something new or sort of unexpected? Would you be okay with that? Something we haven't ever done together? You lowered your phone, leaning back up against the headboard as you thought it over. The streets outside your window looked different at night, but you knew that if you were to wander out, there would be no chance of losing your way. There wasn't a single inch of your neighborhood that you didn't know by heart, and everywhere you looked, from the grassy hill behind your house to the shops by the beach, you could recall a time where you'd been there with Cove, mostly just chatting as you walked together. You didn't mind everyday things like that, but as far as something new or unexpected... What exactly did you have in mind? Some things. One by one, Cove began presenting his ideas, starting off with attending a play. We watched TV together and movies, but real performing people in front of us. We've never done that. I'm not sure what plays exactly are on right now, but that adds to the unexpected factor. There was a slight pause before Cove moved into the next plan, visiting an aquarium. That makes sense, right? We go to the beach and stuff, we're pretty close to the water, but going to the aquarium would be water in a whole new way. The third and last idea was that one was the most out of the blue. Ice skating. Ice skating? It was a total wild card, as Cove was putting it, and the polar opposite of what the two of you normally did. However, it was fitting right in the other options as something you had never done together. Let's say if hypothetically someone wanted to surprise you with an unexpected outing, would that be okay? You couldn't help but smile fondly at that, wondering to yourself who that someone was going to be. You said it would be perfect if that somehow happens. If only hypothetical someone existed. Great. Not that it means anything, but which one would be your favorite? It would be... Because, like, in real life, I love seeing plays, especially musicals. Grams are fun, but once it can be fun or boring depending on what time you go to and if you've already seen everything there before. But ice skating, because I'm torn between seeing a play and ice skating. Ice skating is always fun and I want to do it more, but I haven't really had the opportunity to do so. So I'm gonna go say ice skating. The idea was so out there that you could not pick it, and it was a chance to see Cove out of his element too. Right, cool. Don't think too hard about this talk. Doesn't mean anything. I want to say haha, sure, and I also want to say you're adorable. Yeah, I'm gonna say you're freaking adorable. Don't say that. Good night, Luna. It's really late now. Yeah, it is. Nighty night. With that final send-off, you put your phone to sleep and lowered it with a sigh. You have no idea when Cove was going to invite you to the ice rink, but your mind was buzzing with all the possibilities the coming days might bring. Your phone went back to its place on the nightstand and you resumed snuggling into the mattress, one hand thrown to the side and the other shoved under your pillow. Somewhere between this day and the next, you finally found yourself asleep. The next morning, after washing up from breakfast, you had just climbed up the stairs to your room, ready to tackle the day, when you heard the ringing of the doorbell. You turned toward the sound, angling your head in confusion. Was someone expecting a visitor today? Then again, you weren't even sure if anyone else was around, judging by the lack of footsteps you were hearing. You raced back downstairs to answer the door. As you pulled it open and saw who it was, you were only further confused. Cove? He was standing there with an unsure look on his face at first. Like he didn't know who would answer the door, but the moment he saw it was you, a shy grin spread across his face. He raised one hand and gave you a little wave. Surprise. What might you be here for this fine day? You leaned against the door frame and crossed your arms with a put-up casualness. I got you something. He slid his hand out from behind his back, holding up to in front of your face as he offered the present to you. Your eyes widened once you saw what it was. A new game you had been waiting for. You hadn't expected this gift at all, let alone something as thoughtful as this. Taking one look at your face, no doubt a complicated mix of happiness and shock, Cove let out a laugh. Surprise again. Really is. Suddenly, Cove raised his head, his eyes finding yours and startling you into stillness. He is adorable. Would you want to go ice skating with me? His voice was so soft and timid. You involuntarily held your breath as you listened. He was blushing, but he fixed you with a hopeful smile, still meeting your eyes. I thought maybe it would be a fun trip to surprise you with. I'll love to. With his big question asked and accepted, Cove raised the gift towards you again, gesturing with his other hand for you to receive it officially. You carefully took it from him. I'll put this bad boy somewhere safe and then we can get going. Cove had no problem with that. Still grinning, he stepped back, his bodily angling away as he waved a hand in the air. I'll get my car ready then. Meet me there. Okay. Music makes me sleepy. As soon as the door clicked shut, you dashed upstairs to your room, prepping a spot for Cove's gift. Then, satisfied with your efforts, you grabbed your bag, tossing in whatever else you thought it would be need for the outing before heading back outside. Cove's old car was parked right in front of the house. You went straight to it, hopping into the shotgun seat. As you buckled yourself in, Cove leaned forward to watch you with an eager expression. his fingers tapping the dashboard to a lively sort of rhythm. When he was ready to start, but trying to tone it down so he wouldn't feel rushed. Glad we're doing this together. Me too. Once his seatbelt was secured, Cove checked his mirrors to make sure that the chute was clear before pulling away from the curb, and just like that, the two of you began your trip. Now that you were sitting down for the drive, it felt good. It felt like a good moment to regain your bearings. You shrugged your pack into your lap and began thumbing through your things to make sure you had that, in your hurry to leave, you hadn't forgotten anything important. You're dressed normally, but pack some extra layers just in case. With the jacket stuffed in there, your bag had taken on a lopsided sort of bulk awkward to carry around. He zipped it closed again, and Cove began to speak, raising his voice to be heard over the ambient noise of the car ride.
So...
Ooh, are you skating? This is gonna be crazy, having water that's frozen? Unheard of. He chuckled at his own joke, and you shook your head at him, though you couldn't help grinning at his silly comment. Who knows, maybe in colder places it's the opposite that's weird? As you looked at him, you caught a glimpse of the back seat. It was empty, which wouldn't be strange any other day. You didn't bring a jacket? Nope. You know I hate extra layers, and there aren't any parents around to force me to do it now. Probably gonna regret that once we get there. Cove's eyebrows knitted together as he began to pout. It'll be fine. You stayed firmly in his seat, showing no sign that he was gonna change his mind. Skeptical as you were, you said nothing more to it on it. You laid your arm against the window, the scenery outside, passing by a blur until you finally arrived at the ice skating ring. The two of you grabbed your things as you got out of the car. A wave of heat so thick it felt like you were swimming in it as soon as you set foot onto the sun-hot asphalt in the parking lot. Cove fell in step with you, dragging the back of his arms across his face. You and Cove exchanged looks. Well, here we are, his tilted smile seemed to say. The skating ring was in a large building of glass and concrete, with its name plastered in simple white letters above its entrance. The nondescript flat rooftop-style architecture reminded you of a bit of a local mall. You went in as the doors slid shut behind you. You heard Cove sharp intake of breath. You glanced over at him, seeing the stunned look on his face, his lips drawn tight in a frown. It's really cold in here. I guess we'll have to change your name from Cove to Cold. Cold-hearted? Cold for short. That way next time we come here. Cove had his arms wrapped around himself in an attempt to keep warm, all forgotten in favor of flowing your questioning look. You could say it's cold in here. You cover your mouth and stick out your humor. The joke got a trembling smile out of him too. How about you? How are you feeling? Feeling just fine. There's no denying that the building was chilly, but it was a refreshing change compared to the sweltering heat of the parking lot. He laughed breathfully. That's good. Your neighborhood shuddered dramatically, almost retracting his head into his shirt. His renewed effort to keep warm. He went on to him to keep him warm. He took a step toward him and wrapped him up in what you would hope eventually became a warm embrace. For a second, his body went even more rigid, but he quickly relaxed and gave you a self-conscious smile.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luna. See, if you feel like thanking me after I force you to rent skates like this. His quiet laugh shook through his abdomen. You felt it on your side out of your body right before he put his arm out on your waist and pressed you closer, an unspoken sigh that he had no problem with. Like this, the two of you ambled over to the rental counter together, a slightly awkward process that had you unsure if you were going forward or sideways. The clerk ended up giving you two funny looks over the top of your glasses as he went through the process of paying for admission and finding skates in your shoe size. But throughout it all, Cove didn't shiver once. Eventually, you had your skates. It was particularly a well-worn set. I'm so sleepy. Music's so relaxing. and I'm all bundled up in blankets and stuff. Still sturdy, but where it had once been blue was now faded, and where it had once been white was now closer to tan. With some time and a low bench, you were both set up with the rented shoes and now stood by the opening of the rink. It was an oblong shape surrounded by panel walls with rails. You were a little amused to see that there were others dressed in t-shirts and shorts, and turned to Cove to point it out. The answering laugh that came sounded like a little distracted.
Well,
here we go. Tentatively, he took out one step onto the ice. The series of movements that followed were reminiscent of a jack in the box swinging back and forth in its spring. You thought you might laugh, but it died in your throat for one heart-lurching second. Cove's upper body tilted forward to a 90-degree angle. His hand shot out, slapping against the ledge running along the plexiglass panels on the side of the ring. A relieved sigh left both him and you. He was mumbling to himself as he craned his head back. He must have caught the alarm on your face because he gave you a smile as shaky as his footing. Now, make it work. It was fun to see Cove's first time trying it, but you had done it before without him. Came forward to join him and... for funny, I want to say I flew onto the ice easily. Expertly built up a little bit of momentum you needed and slid smoothly to the stop at his side. Eyebrows raised in appraisal, Cove looked down at your feet as though he couldn't understand how they moved like that. It's kind of amazing you're seriously ice skating right now, but this is what we decided to do. I should stop being surprised over everything. Let's skate. Let's skate. The two of you developed a cautious rhythm, drawing long, slow circles around the edge of the rink side by side. You made sure that the pace never exceeded what Cove was capable of. He was happy to let you guide him. You gave him pointers while making small strides. Sometimes he'll take breaks to settle down and give you a chance to flex more of your skills on your own. He seemed to enjoy that just as much as attempting to skate himself. Wide puffs of air released from you and Cove as you laughed and cheered each other on for any achievement. There are still plenty of moments still clinging on to each other for added warmth against the unrelenting chill of the space. Eventually, you noticed Cove exhale deeply. He was getting tired. You scooted up to him, ready to take another breather, as he rested his arms on the bar in front of him.
Hey!
Hey, would it be alright to ask you why you chose this place? What made it the favorite out of everything? Doesn't matter why, I'm just curious. I like ice skating. Oh, cool. You could tell that Cove was feeling pretty pleased with himself by the way his eyebrows rose and his smile curved. One of his suggestions was something that you wanted to do regardless, and he was considering that a success. With a second wind coming over Cove, he was ready to get back on the icy fray. You joined him without hesitation. The hours slid right past you, and just like that, it was suddenly time to call it a day. After turning the barred skates, Cove and you ventured back out to the California air. Even though the sun was almost behind the horizon, it was still palpably warmer than inside the rink. Cove rushed over to his car, his shivering hands clutched to yours. You let him pull you forward to the mad dash to the vehicle. Doors were opened and closed, seats were taken, the engine switched on, and the heat turned to max. And that, Cove finally relaxed. Your foray into the freezing cold had ended, and nicely at that. Away into your drives, Cove glanced toward your direction. You stretched your arms as you shifted in your seat, waiting patiently for him to say what was on his mind.
So
I know that was unexpected, but thanks for coming along. It was fun, but it's still the worst attempt at a surprise ever. Cove snorted, and both of you burst into laughter. You watched him with a wide grin. Yeah, you can't blame me for wanting to make sure you would at least like the surprise. I can't. I'm glad it happened the way it did. The drive continued in comfortable silence. Cove wore a content expression on his face that warmed your hearts. Doing things like this with Cove, he made you happy. Your heart skipped a beat thinking about how mutual the feeling seemed to be. Watching the passing turning out the window, you relaxed into the seat. Time sped by. It wasn't too long before Cove pulled into his driveway. Sighing happily, you got out of the car while Cove came around to where you were standing. He stood there a moment, rolling a pebble under his shoe. I'll see you tomorrow? Counting on it.
Thanks.
After that, you and Cove parted ways for the rest of the day. Even when you fell back into your normal routine, your mind refused to stop buzzing with the memory of your little adventure. As you crawled into bed and closed your eyes, you were just back in the best parts of today. You hoped Cove's surprise would continue just a little bit longer and continued into your dreams. At breakfast the next morning, you were sitting with your moms and Liz. While you were mildly listening to the conversation, the side of your face squished into the palm of your hand. The doorbell rang.
Oh?
I'll get it. Mom passed by you to the front door. Your eyes lazily followed her, then you turned your attention to Ma and Liz. They were still lightheartedly chatting, and you weren't sure about what. Your focus snapped back when your name was caught from across the room. Hey Luna, you have a guest. Be right there. On your way to the front door, Mom gave you a shoulder pat as you returned to the living room. When she moved by, you saw who was at the door. It was Cove again. A smile stretched out across his face from the moment your eyes met.
Hi.
Hi, Cove, sweetie. Instantly, you looked over your shoulder to see Mom several feet away, but within the eyeshot of the door. She waved. When you faced Cove again, he was looking at the ground shyly. It reminded you of the last time you had seen him the night before. It was that was all the push you needed to step outside, closing the door behind you for some privacy. What do you have up your sleeve today? Crossing your arms, you leaned back against the door. You already had a good feeling about where it was going. I'm glad you asked. Then Cove chuckled awkwardly. He didn't quite meet your gaze as he pulled out another gift from behind his back. Surprise! Wanna go to the theater with me? What? You blinked and then switched to staring at him in bewilderment. Cove's eyes narrowed conspiratorially. The real surprise was that I'm going to invite you to all 3 places. You never had to choose only one. I just need to make sure that they all didn't sound completely terrible. The longer Cove spoke, the quieter his voice became. He shyly scratched at the side of his cheek. And to check if you'll be free, so surprise again. Burst into laughter. It made sense now, but he really did get you. Before, you never thought that Cove would treat you to all the other suggestions. Composing yourself, you noticed that Cove was shyly looking past your shoulder. Do you like what I got you? Cove nodded at the present and handed towards you, hoping that you'll take it. Until now, you hadn't completely registered it. It was a carefully chosen stuffed animal. Aww. Aww. You're doing so much, I feel a little bad. You don't have to. I'm not missing out on anything by doing nice stuff for you. And I think you should have these good things. You didn't tell me to do it. Okay. Just in Cove, you pushed your worries aside. You took the gift and smiled softly. Are you gonna accept the other part too? I'm already excited about the theater. Let's get going. Elated, Cove bounced on the bit of the toes of his feet. You could feel the happiness radiating off him in waves. Thanks for coming. I'll be in my car. You can go get ready. Alright. You sped back inside and spotted your family still sitting around the table. They all turned and smiled at you. So what's the plan for today? Cove invited me to go to the theater with him. Ma clapped her hands together happily. Her smile beamed.
Have fun.
That sounds so fun. I hope you have a great time with Cove. I will. You grinned and looked over at Liz. She nodded, looking happy for you. It didn't take long for you to get ready and dash out the front door. Cove was waiting for you as promised, and you both set out for the day 2 of his surprise outings. And this time it was actually a surprise. So, when I looked up, there was 2 shows we could pick from around this time. One was a historical romance with nobility, fancy outfits, drama, and stuff. The other seemed to be like a modern-day story, something set near a lake and a bed and breakfast with comedy. So it's kind of wacky, I guess.
So
what do you think? Let's have a chance decide. He laughed. His head shook a bit as he looked ahead. Alright, why not? Cove reached forward and fished a coin from the little shelf area, and for this gear to shift, he handed it to you. Give it a flip. Heads we see the romance, and tails we see the comedy. Chuckling, you shot up. It turned 1, 2, 3 times before falling back in the palm of your hands. The comedy. Cool, that sells that. Well,
So?
to be fair, kinda wanted to see the romance, but let us go fig. I just curious in what Cove thinks. Like, me? Yeah, you. Which one did you think sounded better? His face grew red, pretending not to notice. He waited for his answer patiently. I think the historical one sounded interesting. He thought it was sweet that he would be shy about wanting to see a romance. You gave him a small smile. I could do that one then.
Alright.
Getting kind of excited. I wonder what it'd be like. I haven't seen a live play before. I have. And I liked it. Your eyes shone with delight, remembering the dazzling lights in the grand stage. The theater was a real treat that you certainly enjoyed. The rest of the drive flew by, and soon enough you were at the theater with Cove at your side. Tickets in hand, you both went inside. Shuffling down the aisle, Cove found the right seats. You were getting settled when the lights began to dim. Made it just in time. Your voice came out in a whisper, glancing at Cove, who you saw him staring straight ahead with eyes growing louder with intrigue. Then the actors started coming out onto the stage. The show was set and the stage focused on a group of wealthy families and web of dramas and they entangled themselves in. And yet, despite the tension and chaos, the two lovers emerge. Oh, kind of like Romeo and Juliet, I guess. Their swift engagement drew nothing but disapproval from their friends and family. You expected that there would be several tries before the lovers could reach any kind of happy ending. You became absorbed into the story and performances, and you weren't the only one. During the touching scenes, you could hear quiet sniffling coming from the seat where your long-lost time neighbor was. When the play was finally come to a close, the audience broke out into applause. Cove clapped for the actors until the noise died down. Then he spoke for the first time since the event began. It's over. Nodding, you followed Cove out to the theater. The sun was hanging low in the sky. I had so much fun. I can't believe what a good time that was. But really, I might have to come back sometime to see the other one. Cove scratched at his cheek contemplatively. I said I thought it was going to be harder to keep up with, what was the phrase, suspension of disbelief? The actors were right there putting on a show. I thought it'd be too much to believe it was really happening.
Not bad.
But I felt more into it than with a lot of movies. I could totally picture the world they lived in. Amused, you nodded and listened to Cove's animated commentary. I'm still thinking about it even though it's over. Imagine if that was us. Attending high society parties and living in grand mansions. We'll have to deal with the rich and powerful and the politics or whatever that went along with it. Our families will try and force us to follow certain paths, but we'll still find our own way to each other and the things we want to do. He had stars in his eyes as he fantasized about the events of today's story. Are you envisioning us being married like the couple in the story, you joked? You raised an eyebrow accusingly, but your tone left a little room for doubt that you're teasing. Cove immediately averted his eyes. A deep blush spread across his cheek at the tip of his ears.
I mean,
well, it's a part of the story, but we don't have to. It can be whatever you want. Is that what you want? Son, you can't get a single word out before Cove began to backtrack. Sorry, don't worry about anything I said. A few quiet moments passed, and you noticed a distant look on Cove's face. He shook his head like he was trying to send that thought away. What is it? I'm trying to really picture a completely new life in a place actually feels kind of weird now that I'm doing it. I'm not exactly sure how to explain it. It's kind of exciting, but also sad. I'm thinking too seriously about this dumb idea, I guess. But if I don't remember anything from this world, then it would be pointless that I had a life before. And if it really did happen, I would probably be surrounded by totally new people, and you wouldn't have you with me anymore. Surprised, you second a breath. Cove laughed shyly.
That's
the fun part of imagining it all. It was that you were there by default, just getting to be somewhere else on my own. Wouldn't it be nice no matter how cool the place was? Settled then. I'll just have to look for you if I wind up in having another chance at life, or magically end up in some other world. I hope you try and find me too. Nervous, Cove's eyes didn't quite meet yours. His cheeks and ears were solidly red at this point. I'll find you, it's obvious. No amount of space and time can stop us. Thank you, Luna. In that case, it'll work out after all. Definitely. He took a deep breath and stretched his arms high over his head, and then turned his head to your direction, and then pointed with his thumb to his car. We better get back to our real world now, huh? It's getting late and I think we're the only ones still out here. You spun around getting a good look at your surroundings. Cove was right. All the other cars were here after the show ended long gone. How did I miss that? It's something too dark, by the way. Yeah, it is.
Come on.
Come on, let's get home. After that, you made your way into Cove's car. You set a course for your neighborhood. Your legs felt stiff from standing still and talking for so long, but it was worth it. The car ride home went by far too fast. You and Cove were in good spirits, and spent the ride chatting and laughing, bouncing around with various topics. But you didn't ask the question that sat all day in the back of your mind. Why was Cove doing all of this in the first place? Again, you both parted ways for the night in the neighborhood street. You watched Cove head inside with a quick wave. You were halfway to your own house when a familiar voice called out to you. Turning on your ears, you spotted Mr. Holden. He lightly jogged over to talk.
Hey!
Hey, how are you? I'm good. Great. I was just getting home from work. What were you up to? Or rather, what were you up to today? Me and Cove went to the theater. You did, huh? Sounds fun. It was fun, and it was also a surprise, which is weird since usually me and Cove not hanging out would sound surprising. Crossing your arms, you gave a quick laugh. Mr. Holden frowned. He rubbed the back of his neck and studied you for several silent moments. Right, so, Luna, what's going on there? Something's going on, isn't it? Wait, what makes you ask? That's not a problem, right?
So...
I'll answer your question if you answer mine, deal? That was Mr. Holden, always trying to make deals with you, but you could deal with it. Alright, you have yourself a deal. You had a hand out to make it official. Mr. Holden smiled wide as he reached out and shook it. What's the story? The truth is, Cove's been doing a lot for me lately, way more than usual. For 2 days in a row now, he's planned special outings and gifts too. I don't know why. Cove thought and nodded contemplatively. He accepted the situation easily. That actually makes a lot of sense considering. He waited for him to continue. There's no reason to interrupt until he had his answers. There's a long pause, unsure what to say next, or how to phrase it at least. Honestly, I've been a little bit worried about Cove lately. He's gotten up into his head about something. But I'm not sure exactly that's a bad thing. It's tough to know how to even bring it up. I'm not sure if I even have to talk about it. The longer he spoke, the wider your eyes grew with concern. There's more happening than a few meaningless hangouts. It's okay. He raised his hands in a calming motion when he noticed your reaction. Let me explain. I noticed Cove's been getting lost in thought more often recently, and he sometimes has his laptop in the living room. He leaves it lying around on the couch or puts it on the coffee table. I have a clear view of it there, and I can obviously see him looking up stuff on it. Cove keeps searching one phrase, and different wordings of it too. Then he spends ages clicking through all the linked results. The line is, how do you make someone happy? Just that again and again. You had consciously closed your mouth after that. You didn't know what to even say about hearing that revelation. Miss Holden gently beamed. Isn't he such a good kid? He continued, but his tone was rueful. Unfortunately, I can relate to all too well to that conundrum. Who am I to judge, right? Miss Holden shrugged in exaggeration. Wait till I in the mood back up. Before, I was thinking Cove might have gotten into a fight with somebody. Now it sounds like I was way off the mark. Cove clearly had other plans on the brain, and I'm even more confused on whether this is something I should get into or not. You know what? I'm actually wondering if you could have a little chat with him on what's actually going on. It sounds like you're at the core of Cove's sudden study sessions, so I might feel more at ease talking about it, or more embarrassed, but he'd still probably do it. I'd appreciate it. Your gaze trailed over to Mr. Holden's residence. Mr. Holden made a very good point, you had to admit. Yeah, I'll do it.
Good kid.
Yeah, thanks. You're a really good kid. You went over, you shook your head with a smile and started walking toward where Cove went. After a few steps, you realized that Mr. Holden wasn't following. You glanced back at him. I'm gonna hang out here for a bit, and make sure you have some space to talk without a parent in the way. The door is probably unlocked, so go right in. Okay. But you hesitated for a moment. Mr. Holden's smile faded. Thanks for talking with me. This has been on my mind too, and I think I'll be good to ask Cove if everything's okay.
Absolutely.
Agreed. I'll shake it out right in the end, I'm sure. Mr. Holden grew much happier than he was a moment ago. Feeling ready, he turned right around and went to the house. Hey. Cove was sitting on the couch with his aforementioned laptop opened. He peeked up at you with a puzzled look and then melted into a smile. I thought you were my dad. Did you forget something? Shook your head.
Oh.
You tried opening your mouth to speak, but nothing came out. Cove's eyebrows furrowed with confusion. You were struggling to put together what you wanted to say next, and the conversation was growing more awkward by the second. He sighed. Why are you here? Lightheartedly, you asked Cove about his searching. Can we talk? Nothing awful, it's just the thing. Okay. Cove closed his laptop and laid it on the couch cushion next to him. He got up, shuffled past the coffee table, and stopped right in front of you. Is everything alright? Yeah, just what's going on, Cove? I was talking to your dad, and he's been noticing some stuff. Apparently, you've been obsessively looking up how to make someone happy. Is there a reason for that? You noticed that? Are you mad? No, I guess I was really distracted. I don't think people around would actually be paying attention or taking note of things. He chuckled awkwardly at himself. Cove, will you tell me why you felt like doing that so much?
Luna.
He looked at you with large earnest eyes. I did it because I want you to be happy. Why do you make me happy? The words flew out of you without a second thought. Cove's face instantly started to turn red. His mouth twitched. Thank you. Another squeak squeaked out of him. Now he's completely frazzled on what to say. His gaze fell to the floor and he defaulted to rubbing his arms.
Sorry.
I wasn't trying to make you or Dad concerned. I didn't want to upset anyone, sorry. I'm definitely not upset. Your dad isn't either. Cove nodded, but he was still lost in thoughts. What made you start doing this all of a sudden? Did I do something? No. Then what happened?
I don't know.
I don't know. With a deep frown, Cove looked back at you and repeated the phrase, each time with the function different, like he intended to say something different, but was coming up with the same non-reply. I don't know anything. He ran a hand through his hair, trying to understand his own motivations. I guess maybe with everything that's been happening and everything that's coming soon, it's just kind of hit me that we're neighbors. A quick snort of air came out of your nose from his conclusion. Yeah? I mean, you lived right across the street from me for 10 years. The only other kid who grew up in the whole neighborhood is your older sister. His smile weak-bent. And then there are our parents. They sure are putting efforts for the two of us to get to know each other. My dad literally paid you to be my friends. Cove shook his head with a laugh. He gazed as far away as he nostalgically reflected on the history you had. Basically, everything in our lives was set up for us to be together. It was always effortless. And why not? It was practically went without saying that we'd be around each other, but it won't be like that forever. Our parents won't always be there to arrange things. We can't live in the little ward of the street forever. Do I even know how to make it work when I don't have every advantage possible? I've made you happy in the past, but could I keep doing that? What's even possible that I could do to make you happy? Aw, Cove. Cove started to run a hand through his hair again, but he stopped partway through and looked at you earnestly. It was like breathing. When you're just going through life, you do what you're going to do even without thinking. And then something reminds you that you're breathing, and you become way more conscious of it. Being with you is the same. But what I normally do without pondering deeply on it. But now all this stuff and me starting to think about it. Then I couldn't stop thinking about it. I felt like I need to try harder to make an effort for you, for the relationship we had, and I had to, that's what I did. Cove scratched the back of his neck. He looked sheepish now. It seemed like such a good idea in my head. It made complete sense, but maybe it was dumb. Punched his arm affectionately. Hey! You effectively held his arm where your knuckles hit. You cracked a smile, and he only grew as you felt emotions swelling in your chest. Stepping back, he took a deep breath. Cove shifted how he was standing and watched you bashfully. You know it's okay to tell me what you're feeling like this, right? Cove watched him with fleeting eyes. He didn't want him to keep things to himself like this. He nodded carefully. I'm glad I'm here for you. Cove, we're best friends. Even if it's meeting is thanks to circumstance out of our controls, that doesn't matter. We're close because of who we really are. We found something in each other that made us want to be together. Nothing can take that away. There was a pause where neither of you were certain who was going to speak next. Cove sniffled.
Wow.
Thank you, Luna. Thank you for looking out for me, even when I didn't even notice when I was doing for something worth checking in on. You're amazing. Welcome. After the conversation with Mr. Holden, you weren't really sure how to expect. You breathed a happy sigh of relief now that things were a million times better. Cove chuckled. Now that everything was out in the open, his words were lighter. Gotta thank my dad, too. I can always count on him to be around. I have such good people in my lives. He smiled softly. Cove withdrew a bit, looking shy. Can I, still show up tomorrow and invite you on the last surprise outing? Yes, I'll see you first thing in the morning. Cove brightened hearing that from you, grinning from ear to ear. You honestly couldn't think of anything better than seeing the earnest look in his eyes. He simply wanted to spend time having fun with you. I can't wait. Me either. Alright, you should probably get going home. It's getting late and you need to get your rest. He looked at you, attempting to feign an innocent expression.
I mean,
What if something just happens to happen tomorrow? You laughed as Cove grinned, acknowledging his poor attempt at subterfuge.
Good night, Luna. Good night. Try not to miss me too much. You headed to the front door, waving as Cove sought you out. When you walked out of the street, you noticed that Mr. Owen was still standing out there. He looked up at the sound of the door closing behind you, his phone in his hand and smiling as he seized up at the situation.
oh?
You ran there for a while. I hope that's good news. Oop, I did not mean to do that.
Oh?
Were you really going to stand out there in the dark until I left? He waved it off. I didn't mind giving you guys a wide berth. He had no clue how sensitive the issue was. I wasn't about to risk messing it up by poking around where I wasn't needed. Besides, I was chatting with Gregor, Derek's dad, my very professional business partner, about a very professional business thing. It's fine. Okay, it all worked out, so that's good. Great, glad to hear it. Everything truly resolved. You exchanged goodnight wishes with Mr. Holton before continuing the very brief trip home. Not wishing to disturb anyone, you quietly snuck inside and pushed the door behind you close. As it clicked into place with a minimum of fuss, you let out a sigh. Your mind buzzed as you climbed the steps up to your room. Cove had done so much just to make you happy, and you knew that he would be back tomorrow with another big surprise. Didn't appreciate it, prepared to surprise him. But I was often off themselves, can change the plan, make him surprise. You resolved enough was enough, and you're going to thank him with a gift and surprise him with a change of plans. Cove had bought you 2 gifts already, and the odds are the third was coming. It was time to turn the tables and have something ready to give him. At this hour, it was easier said than done. Most stores were long closed, and Cove would be bright and early to surprise you tomorrow morning. That ruled out purchasing a gift the way he'd done for you. Luckily, you know Cove long enough to see a solution to this problem. Your neighbor was always happy boy when he was given food. You sure could rustle something fitting the description out of the kitchen one way or another. Feeling invigorated, you spun around and sped back downstairs. It was time to put your plan into action. managed cooking, mostly. You could figure out how to make something you loved. Then hit you, your parents. Your moms knew how to cook wonderfully, and that could easily persuade them enough to give you a hand with this. It had to be done. Size up your options. With an early start, you'd be able to pull something together simply in the morning. If you want to go out to sell something more elaborate, time-consuming, you need to do it right now. Let's see, there's cinnamon roll. I have no idea how to make cinnamon rolls. Banana, peanut butter, and honey sandwiches. We'll make him homemade fudge. Oh god, I want homemade fudge. That sounds so good. I'll go with banana, peanut butter, and honey sandwiches. You remember back when you were growing up, Cove would attempt to prepare his own food. Adorable. He kept to very basic things. The particular sandwich had been firm favorite of his. He'd been thrilled if you presented him with a classic like that. Sandwiches would taste a breath fresh. That was nearly always the case, but with Cove's favorite filling, there was a high chance of them going soggy if left for too long. You vowed to get up extra early, setting an alarm on your phone so that you have plenty of time to make it before he arrives. You dust off your hands, satisfied with the job well done. With your mission accomplished, you headed back up to your room. Took the steps lightly, feeling buoyant as you imagined how happy Cove would be with your unexpected gifts. Cove's plan was extremely thoughtful, just like him, but you couldn't let him be the only one who would concocted schemes. With his attention diverted to his own surprise, it was a perfect opportunity for one of your own. Never see it coming. That didn't mean that thinking up something was going to be easy. You wouldn't want to do anything that just might risk making him uncomfortable, or a random activity just for the sake of doing something new. It needed to be something he would actually want to do. That about Cove. His obvious destination was the beach. He never got tired of the sea, no matter how many hours he spent with it. And while there are many beaches in California, you knew that he'd be happy with any of them. A trip to the shore wouldn't be quite cut it this time. After all, you would both still inevitably wind up doing the same things you always loved to do at the beach, and time would pass in much the same ways as it would be if you were still in your own hometown. You wanted this plan to be something special. Luckily, as much as Cove associated himself with the ocean, you were one of the few people who knew there was another, quite different type of location he had treasured. Surprising him with a trip to somewhere else that with that element was absolutely that kind of moment that he would cherish forever. Pulling up a browser on your phone, you search for the phrase sunset bird white poppy field. Smiling to yourself, you sat down and began the hunt for a perfect spot. Cove was working so hard to make you happy. You dearly wanted your friend to be happy too. You could only hope your efforts would work as well for him as his plans were coming for you. You woke up early the next day, ready and waiting for Cove's inevitable appearance. The alarm had gone off not too long before and roused you ahead of the usual schedule, allowing you plenty of time to make the sandwiches fresh. Making them had truly brought you back to your younger days. You recall the blazing heat of the summer afternoons, the very first experience of teenagedom, and a familiar neighbor always showing up at your house. But there wasn't time to get lost in your daydream. You had just finished packing to finish the product up. The teasing from your moms when you roped them into helping you make basic sandwiches had been merciless, but you held firm. This gift just needed to be just right, so you endured their good-natured jokes and had been rewarded with beautiful sandwiches as a result. The morsels were boxed up neatly, ready to be presented to Cove. Your ears perked up listening for the doorbell, but instead what you heard was a familiar rapping on the window pane. There was no need to look to know who it was. Only one visitor used your window who has a personal entryway. Getting up, you headed over to let him in. You gazed into your neighbor's face as you unfastened the window, opening it wide. He smiled at you, still crouched on the window's ledge. Tired of using the front door already? Cove's laugh was as airy as the cotton candy sold on the boardwalk. He was in good spirits. Surprise! I'm really keeping you on your toes. What will I do next? He wagged his eyebrows at the joke as he stepped back to let him into the room. Today he was clambering through with an extra difficulty thanks to the object he was clutching securely. You guess it was another gift. You waited for him to bring it up. Sure, he knew you'd seen it, and it was probably reached your own conclusions, but he worked so hard on his surprises, he wanted to play along. Cove smiled sheepishly and held out the present to you. With a bit of flair, Cove clinked together 2 mugs, like he was giving you a toast. Both cups are stamped with the Sunset Burns town symbol. One for you and one for me. I thought it'd be pretty fitting with us sticking it out for a little while longer. Cove's eyes were trained on you, searching for emotion in it. I hope you like it. You shook your head affectionately. Only Cove would come up with a gift like that at a time like this. He simply grinned at you as if knowing what you were thinking. You're so cute. He chuckled self-consciously as he gave a long look to the meaningful gift he had selected, as if it was growing heavier in his hands. I really do support your goals. I just want you to know that. I know, Cove. Then you accepted the thoughtful present into your own grasp. Only once he transferred ownership and cemented it with your approval did Cove straighten up and pull himself together.
Well...
Okay, well, would it be alright for me to take you out today? We could, I don't know, go to the Caribbean? He smirked, already anticipating you to say yes. You smiled to yourself, wondering how you break your counter surprise to Cove. Actually, I got something else in mind.
Huh?
A beat passed as if Cove was waiting for a punchline that didn't come. He tilted his head, nonplussed by your declaration. There's somewhere else I'd like to go today. Would you come with me? His mouth hung open at the rest of what he was trying to say, disappeared into thin air. The jack hadn't even started to wear off, but he found one more word. Okay. You were thrilled to have him on board. Now the 2 of you could focus on putting the plan into action. The first part's already here. You can have it now.
What?
What? Really? It was amazing how surprised he was. Cove had spent 3 days raining gifts and special chips on you, but he hadn't all counted on you doing something in return. What is it? See here a second and I'll show you. Okay. He watched you expectantly as you turned around to head downstairs. Reach where the banana, peanut butter, and honey sandwiches were waiting and collected the prize. As you flipped it back around to your room, gift in hand, there was a smile playing across your face. Cove was patiently waiting where you left him, tapping his fingers against the side of his pants. Hope you're hungry. Cove perked up at your words before you even had a chance to see where the present was. You got me food? You laughed. You definitely called it that he'd appreciate this gift. You handed the gift over for an inspection. His eyes widened as he saw the treats. Made myself too, so set your expectations and reactions accordingly. Also, my mom said it helped too. Is this... Even from a cursory glance, Cove instantly anticipated what kind of sandwiches were waiting for him. He picked out one and took almost a third of it in one bite. With his mouth full, he couldn't comment the taste with words, but the satisfied noises he made indicated a positive review was coming. So tasty. Well, does it get the Cove seal of approval? Cove kept chewing, gestured apologetically to his occupied mouth. Finally, after what felt like an age, he swallowed. It's amazing, the balance of peanut butter, bananas, and honey is just the way I like it. Can't believe you remembered. That's incredible. You chuckled, recalling those moments long after you'd spent together. How could you not remember days with a guy like him? Cove wiped his mouth with the back of his hand, now a little calmer after the initial burst of excitement. His feelings instead settled into an easy warmth of affection.
It's nice.
Thank you for this. It's so nice of you. Just do me a favor, don't eat so fast that you choke. I promise. His features softened, and you felt like you were being thoroughly appreciated. The food you gave was also getting its due attention. He already gone in for a second serving. You couldn't blame his indulgence. That said, the amount you giving him was enough for several servings, far more than Cove could usually finish at once. He made sure of it. But as he continued to devour it, you're starting to suspect that he was polishing it all was the goal. In spite of the generous portion, he was willing to try and eat it all in order to show you how much he liked the presents. It's okay to save some for later, I don't mind.
You could tell that he wanted to show how taken he was with the gift, but you'd not presented it as a challenge to overcome. Cove finished his current bite and let out a satisfied sigh.
Alright.
Alright, that's all for now. There's other stuff I can do and have more later. You smiled at him, relieved that your gift would be enjoyed and not inhaled. But once Cove had consumed as much as he could manage for the time being, he packed up the rest for later, as it was time for him to direct the next part of the surprise. I'll need you to drive away still. You can just follow my directions.
Right.
He accepted that easily, going along with your mystery plan without resistance. That was relief. He was definitely curious, and you weren't going to let this hopes down. No time was wasted as you left your house immediately after establishing the new surprise plan. You hurried into the street and practically jumped into the car. Cove toted behind at your heels like a faithful hound. Your excitement was obviously rubbing off on him. Cove dutifully followed your guidance. You did your best to keep the destination secret for as long as possible, giving him only directions as necessary. When you finally came to a stop, it was in a parking lot out in the middle of nowhere. You confidently unclipped your seatbelt while Cove looked around bemused. Here we are. He looked at you for confirmation. You were happy to provide it. We're here. At that, the two of you got out of the car. Cove turned to you, evidently still baffled, but optimistic for what could be coming.
So?
So what now? Cover your eyes, I'll lead you the right way. Whatever you say, Luna. He obliged by your orders and got him into place. You appreciated how easy he was playing along. Cove clutched his hands tightly against his eyes, fingers clamped together so closely not even a speck of light could pass through. He was taking this very seriously. He let you direct him along the way, obediently following your instructions. Eventually, you reached the edge of the parking lot. The crunch of gravel came underfoot to an end, replaced by a dirt path. You saw a flicker of recognition on Cove's face as the terrain changed, but he didn't question where you were headed. You simply continued to make your way forward together as best as you could. The dirt made its way to grass, and you spotted a lonely white flower. It was the first, you were sure, of many to come. Like floral signposts, they popped up infrequently as you kept going, determined to bring Cove to the destination you've uncovered online. Your body was thrumming with emotions now that you were getting close to your goal. Impatience built with every step you took, your anticipation building until it came into view at last. It was perfect. You positioned yourself behind Cove so that the full review would be the first thing you saw, completely unobstructed. Taking a deep breath, you prepared up for the accumulation of your surprise. You can look now. Not wanting to wait a moment longer, Cove dropped his hands in front of his face. God, this is gorgeous. Spanning in front of the two of you was a wide open field, densely carpeted with white poppies in full bloom. Hundreds upon hundreds of soft petals lightly bobbed in the comfortable breeze as if waving to welcome you both. Cove had frozen in place. His jaw was slack, hanging up in amazement as though he couldn't quite believe he was seeing. You couldn't blame him. The distance between the unassuming park lot, mundane and man-made, to the bounty of nature which you brought him to was startling in itself. And the other, that the hill behind your house was not encountered this flower and wild. From Cove's perspective, to suddenly be greeted by a natural paradise tailored to him right down to his favorite flower must have been something he normally only got in a dream. Cove blinked and slowly and repeatedly as he took to the expanse of a floor laid before him. Tears began to form, clutching onto his eyelashes and clumping them together. He lifted his gaping mouth into a wobbly, open-mouthed smile that teetered between joy and disbelief. Oh my god. He was too choked up to start string the three simple familiar words together. He left him speechless. Finally, Cove regained some composure. He opened his mouth to attempt his speech once more. See, are you really so confused why I want to do so much more for you when you go and... To just finish the thoughts, he waved a hand at the beautiful field he had found just for him. His voice, which had been bright, dimmed to a soft murmur when he followed up with a question. Nobody else in the entire world would do this for me. Nobody. And no one makes me feel the same way you do. His words were as faint as the rustling of the poppy petals in the wind. Some of the tears had escaped from his lashes down to his cheeks, and his damp skin glittering in the sunlight. He reached out and stroked them away. Yeah, let's invite you. Meant every word. So, can we look at the flowers together? His voice was so soft, as though speaking too loudly might shatter the magic. I'll be happy to. He giggled in a tiny giddy way at that.
Luna.
Thanks, Luna. Carefully, so to disturb the natural peace as little as possible, you and Cove began making your way through the fields of flowers. Now that you reached your destination, there was nothing to hide. You walked side by side once more, eyes wide to what was ahead. You really cherished taking the journey as partners. With the conclusion of Cove's big plan and yours, you might have expected to feel a little wishful. It had been an exciting few days, but there was no need to yearn for what had gone. After all, you knew that the two of you would always find new ways to bring a smile to each other's face. It's what you both did, and you were looking forward to new surprises already. Nice. And with that, I hope you guys have a good day, night, week, month of your lives, and may the stars forever guide your path wherever they might lead you into the future. Hope to see you guys again soon.